Welcome to My Africa Media 24. By subscribing to our YouTube channel, you agree to receive our news, information and other updates in real time. The March 23rd movement, often abbreviated as M23 and also known as the Congolese Revolutionary Army, is a Congolese rebel military group that is for the most part formed of ethnic Tutsi. Based in eastern areas of the Democratic Republic of the Congo (DRC), it operates mainly in the province of North Kivu. The M23 rebellion of 2012 to 2013 against the DRC government led to the displacement of large numbers of people. On the 20th of November 2012, M23 took control of Goma, a provincial capital with a population of 1 million people, but it was requested to evacuate it by the International Conference on the Great Lakes region because the DRC government had finally agreed to negotiate. In late 2012, Congolese troops, along with UN troops, retook control of Goma, and M23 announced a ceasefire and said that it wanted to resume peace talks. A United Nations report found that Rwanda created and commanded the M23 rebel group. Rwanda ceased its support because of international pressure and the military defeat by the DRC and the UN in 2013. In 2017, M23 elements resumed their insurgency in the DRC, but the operations of this splinter faction had little local impact. In 2022, a larger portion of M23 started an offensive, which eventually resulted in the capture of the Congolese border town of Bunagana by the rebels. In November 2022, M23 rebels got close to the city of Goma and forced about 180,000 people to leave their homes after the Congolese army had withdrawn from the region near the village of Kibyumba. In June 2023, Human Rights Watch reported human rights abuses by M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo, including unlawful killings, rapes and other war crimes. Allegations implicate Rwandan support for these actions, brining concerns about war crimes and making the humanitarian situation worse in the region. The United Nations Security Council encouraged sanctions against the M23 leaders and implicated Rwandan officials. As of February 2023, the group occupies various major towns in eastern North Kivu including Bunagana, Kiwanja, Kichenga, Rubaya, Rutshuru, and controls vital roads leading to Goma. The M23 was formed on 4 April 2012 when nearly 300 soldiers, the majority of them former members of the National Congress for the Defense of the People (CNDP), turned against the DRC government, citing poor conditions in the army and the government's unwillingness to implement the 23rd of March 2009 peace deal. General Bosco Ntaganda, also known as the Terminator, was accused by the government of Kinshasa of leading the group, and President Kabila called for his arrest on the 11th of April 2012. The government had threatened to redeploy former CNDP soldiers away from North Kivu before the full implementation of the peace agreement, which prompted many of them to defect from the army and create the M23. The M23 is made up primarily of Tutsis and opposes the Hutu Power Militia Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, a group that counts among its number the original members of the Interahamwe that carried out the 1994 Rwandan genocide, as well as Area Mai Mai, a community militias mostly created and supported by the Democratic Republic of Congo. To be able to upstaff the troops, occupied villages were asked to deliver youngsters for the formation of village defense committees. This way, a larger number of more experienced soldiers could be stationed on the battlefield. However, this approach backfired when M23 troops tried to extort from the local population, since the armed youngsters defended their own villagers. Following military successes, M23 rebels made additional demands, citing issues of human rights, democracy, as well as good governance. They have accused President Kabila of cheating in the November 2011 elections. The rebels have threatened to march on Kinshasa and depose the president. The rebels were active in North Kivu province, fighting government forces in the Rutshuru and Masisi territories. On 6 June 2012, a Congolese spokesman reported that 200 M23 soldiers had died in the mutiny and that over 370 soldiers had surrendered to FARDC, including 25 Rwandan citizens. On 8 July 2012, Colonel Sultani Makenga announced that a government offensive to dislodge the group from their hideouts had failed, and that they had in turn captured several towns towards Goma, the provincial capital. March 23 movement forces had advanced to the outskirts of Goma by the 18th of November 2012 and warned the UN peacekeepers MONUSCO not to support government troops. Congolese government spokesman Lambert Mende accused Rwanda of backing the rebels. The DRC has not yet declared war, but we are ready to face it. This is our country, our duty. M23 rebels advanced on Goma the 20th of November, and the Congolese army retreated with little fighting. M23 forces paraded through the city, and some residents turned out to welcome them. Congolese customs officers abandoned their posts, leaving the border to Rwanda open. Citation needed. United Nations peacekeepers watched the occupation without intervening, stating that their mandate was limited to protecting the safety of civilians. Jeune Afrique later reported that M23 rebels acquired as well as 6 artillery pieces, BM-type rocket launchers, approximately 20 shipping containers filled with arms and ammunitions of various caliber, all of which were abandoned by the FARDC during their retreat from Goma. DR Congo President Joseph Kabila urged Goma's citizens to resist the M23 takeover. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon criticized the M23 for alleged human rights violations during the takeover, including intimidation of journalists and abduction of women and children. Noting that the First Congo War had begun with fighting in the same region, the New York Times described the takeover of Goma as raising serious questions about the stability of Congo as a whole. On the 21st of November 2012, during the siege, more than 2,000 Congolese soldiers and 700 policemen defected to M23. On the 22nd of November, the FARDC, in cooperation with local Mai elements, routed the M23 rebels from the nearby town of Sake, 27 kilometers from Goma, as they marched towards Bukavu. Also the 22nd of November, Kabila suspended General Gabriel Amisi's FARDC commission because of an inquiry into his alleged role in arms sales to various rebel groups, including the FDLR, in the eastern part of the country, so it implicated M23. On the 23rd of November, M23 rebels retook Sake from the FARDC after an intense 4-hour battle and reinforced their position in the town, as they reportedly moved toward Karachi to the south, Mushaki to the northwest, and Kingi to the north. Meanwhile, the FARDC reinforced their position in Minova, near the South Kivu provincial border, with more than 3,500 soldiers. The UN has declared that it lost access to 30 of its 31 refugee camps in the area due to the M23 offensive. On the 24th of November in South Kivu, Colonel Albert Kahasha, who had surrendered and joined government troops along with other leaders of Mai militia groups Raya Mutomboki and Nyatra. On the 13th of November he defected again from the FARDC. At a regional meeting in Kampala, leaders of the Great Lakes area gave M23 a 2-day ultimatum to leave Goma. A combined force which would include international troops, a FARDC company, and a M23 company would be posted near Goma Airport and would take charge of security. When the ultimatum expired on the 26th of November, M23 still controlled the city. Surrender or unknown, it was speculated that he was either pressured to do so by Rwanda or feared infighting within the M23 movement and its military leader Seleni Makenga, which had recently forced Ntaganda's forces to flee the DRC into Rwanda. Though Rwanda was not a signatory to the Rome Statute, the media speculated it would be forced to turn him over to the ICC. The US also had listed him on its Rewards for Justice program. On the 22nd of March, he was detained by the ICC, and appeared for the first time in front of the ICC on the 26th of March, to which he denied charges of rape, murder, and other offenses. In March 2013, the United Nations Security Council authorized the deployment of an intervention brigade within MONUSCO to carry out targeted offensive operations, with or without the Congolese National Army, against armed groups that threaten peace in eastern DRC. The brigade is based in North Kivu and is made up of a total of 3,069 peacekeepers. It is tasked with neutralizing armed groups, reducing the threat posed to state authority and civilian security, and make space for stabilization activities. The FIB alongside the government forces FARDC engaged the M23 in July 2013, August 2013 and September to October 2013. On the 6th of November 2013, government forces launched an assault on M23 rebel position in the east of the country. This occurred one day after insurgents called for a ceasefire. The following day M23 issued a document that said they had decided from this day to end its rebellion, and instead to pursue its goals through purely political means. On the 7th of November, Sultani Makenga, the leader of M23, surrendered with about 1,500 M23 fighters in Mgenga National Park, Uganda. They were eventually moved to refugee camps in Uganda. After peace declarations were signed between the DRC government and M23 rebels on the 12th of December 2013, issues of legal accountability for the rebellion remain because of international pressure. In 2017, M23 commander Sultani Makenga and about 100 to 200 of his followers fled from Uganda to resume their insurgency, setting up camp at Mount Mikeno in the border area between Rwanda, Uganda, and the DR Congo. The operations of this splinter group remained marginal, and were not supported by the rest of M23. In March 2022, Makenga's group launched an offensive from their remote bases. These first attacks achieved little. After failed peace talks in April 2022, however, the M23 faction of Bisimwa joined the offensive. In May 2022, M23 fighters launched their most sustained attack since the start of their new offensive, overrunning a Congolese army base at Rumangabo. On the 13th of June, the rebels captured the important border town of Bunagana. On the 20th of October 2022, the group launched its latest offensive in the east of DRC, forcing thousands to escape. After the M23 attacks of 2022, the Congolese government blamed Rwanda and accused President Paul Kagame's government of supporting the rebels, charges which Kigali denied. In November 2022, M23 rebels got close to the city of Goma, forcing about 180,000 people to leave their homes after the Congolese army withdrew from the region close to the village of Kibyumba. On Friday the 25th of November 2022, M23 agreed on a ceasefire. This is My Africa Media 24. Here is a reminder to please subscribe to our news channel of Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing dynamics in the other aspects of life.